Avoid moving to Bluffton if you cannot handle these 15 things. Hi, I'm Missy Yost with the Yost team at eXp Realty, and I do these videos about once a week to teach you about Bluffton, South Carolina, so that you can understand whether it's an area that you may want to explore more and even relocate to. We have helped people relocate here from all over the U.S. and the world, so consider us your experts here in the Bluffton, South Carolina area. Now, Bluffton is known for its beauty and its scenic rivers and its close proximity to Hilton Head Island and Savannah, Georgia, but not everything is great about Bluffton, South Carolina. So I'm going to go over 15 things that may make you want to avoid Bluffton, South Carolina. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is the weather. We have beautiful weather here, but in the summertime, it gets very, very hot. So if you don't like heat and humidity in the months of July and August, then you probably don't want to move to Bluffton, South Carolina. You probably want to avoid this area. It does get hot in July and August, but think of it this way. When you live in the Midwest or in the North or the Northeast, you have those snow times and the winter months where everybody stays in the house. The only difference here is that most of us stay in the house in July and August to get out of the heat. The rest of the year, from September all the way through June, we're outside doing things and enjoying the weather. So you've only got a couple months of really hot temperatures to get through before you get to enjoy what this area is really about. If you are a beach lover and you expect to spend time on the beach 7 days a week, then you might want to know that we do have tourists in Hilton Head, and you might want to avoid moving to Bluffton if you expect to have an easy trip to and from the beach on Saturdays. That is what we call our turnover day, and the traffic getting on and off of the beach can be terrible, especially from the hours of noon to 4. The good news is that the rest of the week, it's not so bad. It's easy to get on and off the beach as long as you avoid the rush hours. But there are times, and you learn those times quickly when you live here, that you don't want to go over to the island. Now, know that once you do go over to the island, even if you live in Bluffton, there's plenty of parking, so you won't have to worry about that. There's plenty of beach accesses over there, so you won't have to worry about that. But getting on and off of the island can be quite challenging on a Saturday. You might want to avoid Bluffton, South Carolina if you like the fast-paced life. That is not here. This is the slow country. And just know that everything here happens slower. People talk slower, people drive slower, everything is slower here. So just be ready for that. We're not going to have the fast paced of a metropolitan area here. It is very slow. I'll tell you a story real quick. When I first moved here, I had ordered our internet service, and they gave me the hours that, the window that they would be there. And I called them about 30 minutes past what their window was. It was like 8 to 12 was our window, and it was like 12:30. So I called them. I said, they haven't been here yet. And the lady on the other end of the phone says, well, honey, it's only 12:30. And so that was my first introduction to the slow country. So just know, if it annoys you for things to be slower, might be an area you want to avoid. This is also an area you might want to avoid if you don't like friendly people, because they are all friendly here. This was named one of the friendliest towns in America. So people are genuine. They're not being fake when they're nice to you and they ask you questions. I know when we first moved down here, we were like, oh my gosh, what do these people want from me? Because we were so used to people only being friendly to us when there was like an ulterior motive. But there is not an ulterior motive. These people are really friendly here. So if friendly people annoy you, you might want to avoid Bluffton, South Carolina. If you don't like fresh seafood, you might want to avoid Bluffton, South Carolina. We are not Texas. They go and they get it out of the river or the waterways, and which these are not like rivers, they're salt water. So they'll bring up the shrimp, and they will bring up the oysters, and they will serve them in the restaurants right there on the day that they pull them out of the water. So lots and lots of fresh seafood. I am not a seafood lover, so I also find that there are plenty of other options here. We have just about every type of food imaginable here because people have relocated here from all over the world. So if you're looking for a Jamaican dish, we got it. We got Chinese, we got Italian, we got American, we got Japanese, we've got pretty much anything you're looking for. We do have it here, but we are known for the seafood. If you don't like dogs, you probably want to avoid Bluffton, South Carolina, because this is an extremely dog-friendly area. The beaches allow dogs on them from different types of years. Just different types of the year, you're going to have different hours for the beaches, but they do allow the dogs on the beaches pretty much all winter long. The restaurants, a lot of times, outdoor seating with dogs. Lots of people walking dogs, dog parks, pretty much, dogs are everywhere. Just about everybody does own a dog down here. So if you don't like dogs, you might want to avoid Bluffton, South Carolina. If you don't like gated communities, you might want to avoid Bluffton, South Carolina. It's not that we gate our communities because we have crime. We gate our communities because we gate our communities. I don't know why. I mean, you go to Beaufort, they're not gated. You go to Savannah, they're not gated. You come to Bluffton, they're all gated. And the majority of the time, it's just to protect the people that live inside the community, protect their amenities and keep people from other communities coming in and enjoying their amenities, because they are paying for those amenities and paying for the ability to be able to use them when they want to without becoming overcrowded. You can still get in and out of the gated communities. It's just that you're going to have a pass to get in and out, but it's not like you can never get in there. If you have a friend in there, they'll call you in a pass and you're in like that. Another thing you're going to find here that might annoy you a little bit is that we don't have a lot of franchise restaurants. So if you're used to going out to like an Applebee's or a Big Boy or a Fridays or something like that, you're not going to find that here. We have a lot of locally owned restaurants, and we do have a huge variety. You could go out and eat somewhere different every single day of the year and still not hit them all. So we have new restaurants coming in all the time. We have lots of variety with those restaurants, but we don't have a lot of chain restaurants. So if you are really into those chain restaurants, you might want to avoid Bluffton, South Carolina. We also don't have a whole lot of touristy places. We're not like the Myrtle Beach or something like that, where you've got t-shirt shops and ice cream places and bars all the way down the beach. We don't have that here. You can find some nightlife in Old Town Bluffton. You'll find plenty of nightlife over in Savannah, but there is really just not a whole lot of nightlife here. So if you're somebody who likes to go out and enjoy dancing and the bar scenes, then Bluffton, South Carolina is probably not for you. If fast growth bothers you, then Bluffton, South Carolina is not for you, because we are seeing record growth here. The infrastructure and the landscape constantly changes here, which is kind of exciting. I mean, I love to see it all coming in here, but there are people who have been here all of their lives that absolutely hate the change. So if you don't like the new buildings and streets and construction and stuff, that we have to go through temporarily to get to where we need to be, then this is probably not going to be the place for you, because we are growing. If you don't like wildlife, you're not going to like Bluffton, South Carolina. You may get up and have an alligator in your backyard, but I'll tell you something, we love those alligators. When I first moved here, I thought, oh my gosh, I can't live with an alligator. Now I think, oh my gosh, I can't live without an alligator. They are so fun to watch. They just lay there. They are so lazy. I have seen birds crawl across their heads. I have seen turtles stand on top of them. I almost stepped on one when I got off a golf cart once. Now, I would not encourage you to do that, because that did scare me a little bit. But for the most part, the alligators don't bother you. You don't bother the alligators. We have a lot of different wildlife here. Like, we have fox squirrels. I hadn't seen one until I moved down here, and I absolutely love the fox squirrel. So lots of wildlife, lots of water birds, and personally, I can't get enough of it. But if you don't like wildlife, then you probably want to stay away from Bluffton. If you don't like golf courses, you probably want to stay away from Bluffton, South Carolina, because we have lots and lots of golf courses. Doesn't mean you have to play golf. We have pickleball, we have tennis, we have walking, biking, pretty much everything out there. But Almost all of the communities have a golf course either in them or close proximity to them. So you are going to see a lot of golf courses, which I love because I get to see the expansive views of the fairways. But if you don't like golf and you like more of the city view, then Bluffton is probably not the place for you. If you're afraid of tropical storms and hurricanes, and you really think that that's something that you can't get acclimated to, then it's probably not going to be the place for you. To be honest with you, we have never had a serious issue with a tropical storm or a hurricane since we've been here in the last 10 years. We have had some major hurricanes come through, but we are far enough inland. We're like 25 miles off the coast, and we've never had an issue. Most of the hurricanes will come into the cove and then hit Charleston or go back out to sea, or it comes in somewhere else and it winds up going into the inland area. We're not even required to have like a hurricane shutters or hurricane protection in like Latitude Margaritaville, Sun City Hilton Head, or Riverton Pointe, or, like the Jasper areas. Now, there are areas on Hilton Head Island that, yes, you will be evacuated and they see flooding a little bit more seriously. But for the most part, the hurricanes and tropical storms really are not that big of a deal here. If you don't like being outdoors, then don't come to Bluffton, South Carolina, because you are going to find that pretty much everything is outside. We have, like I said, we got biking, boating, tennis, pickleball, although Sun City is putting in indoor pickleball courts. So we do have a lot of outdoor activities. You've got miles and miles and miles of trails that you can walk, bike, hike, whatever. So the whole area is designed for outdoor living. So if you don't like outdoor recreation, then you might want to avoid Bluffton, South Carolina. If you don't like having HOAs or restrictions on your property, you probably definitely want to avoid Bluffton, South Carolina, because the majority of the properties here are going to have an HOA, which is a homeowners association, or a CCR, which is a community covenants and restrictions. It's not that they're trying to take your rights away. They're trying to protect you. They're trying to keep the integrity of the properties. They don't want a neighbor putting a bunch of junk cars in their yard, but you are not allowed to put a bunch of junk cars in your yard either. So they are done to protect you and to preserve the neighborhoods and the integrity of the area. HOAs can be extremely inexpensive to extremely expensive, and it's going to depend on your neighborhood. It depends on the amount of amenities you have. It depends on a lot of things. So reach out to us and we can explain more about that. But if you don't want to have restrictions, then Bluffton, South Carolina is not an area that you're going to want to live in. Well, I hope you've learned more about Bluffton, South Carolina, and all the things that it has to offer and not offer you if you decide to relocate here. You can email me, text me, call me, however you want to get in touch with me, and I am happy to answer questions. Darren and I do tours here. We can send you out information. Whatever you need, we can get that to you. Just reach out, and until next time, bye-bye.